I'm Dr. Sam Robson and I'm the Medical Director of Temple Clinic. The Temple V Weight Management and Lifestyle Programme focuses on losing weight and adopting strategies that can help to ensure that weight can be kept off for life. This is a two-part webinar. Part 1 looks at the links between sleep and weight management, whilst the second part looks at how our sleep can be improved. So why is sleep so important? All animals sleep, and humans have evolved to spend about a third of their lives sleeping, with 7 to 8 hours being the universally agreed sweet spot. Sleep is such a universal phenomenon that it must be doing something useful. It is considered to be the third pillar of health, along with diet and exercise. And although it is a time when we rest, it's actually time when we reboot, consolidating learning, synthesizing hormones, and preparing minds and bodies for the next day. Sleep is not a uniform unconsciousness, and during the night we cycle through different phases. These phases can be roughly divided into two categories: REM sleep and non-REM sleep. REM stands for rapid eye movement, which is when the eyes can be seen to be moving under the closed eyelids. This is the period of sleep when most dreams occur, and we have about 2 hours of REM sleep each night. It is during non-REM sleep, the deeper sleep, that most restoration and repair occurs. The need to sleep is controlled by two systems. Firstly, our body's circadian clock, which controls blood pressure, body temperature, and the release of hormones. This system is very sensitive to light, and so runs on a roughly 24-hour loop, corresponding to a full day and night. Light inhibits the production of melatonin, our main sleep hormone, and this is thought to be the primary cause of jet lag when our bodies have to adapt to a different time zone. Secondly, there is a sleep drive driven by a brain chemical called adenosine. During the waking hours, adenosine builds up, signaling an increased desire for sleep as it does so. This is hard to resist after about 16 hours. Caffeine keeps you awake by blocking the adenosine receptors in the brain. So when we don't sleep, much can go wrong. Sleep deprivation is associated with heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and Alzheimer's. It interferes with memory, attention, ability to work, time management, decision-making, and planning. Sleep deprivation lowers our ability to fight off infection and also affects our mood, making us irritable, and it's associated with a greater risk of depression. Getting less than 5 hours sleep has been shown to cause accidents, and after 18 hours of no sleep, the effect on one's alertness is comparable to being over the legal blood alcohol level to drive. Research studies illustrate the damage caused by lack of sleep to our bodily function. In one study, where participants were only allowed to sleep for 4 hours for each of 6 nights, this resulted in raised blood pressure, cortisol, and insulin resistance, and the participants only produced half the normal number of antibodies in response to flu vaccination. So apart from generally damaging one's health, what effect does sleep deprivation have on weight? The simple answer is lots. Sleep deprivation causes cravings for unhealthy foods high in sugar and fat. When you're tired, you'll exercise less. You just have to imagine how lethargic you feel if you haven't had enough sleep. And a lack of sleep will make you hungry, depleting your willpower and making you more likely to overeat. Sleep soothes the nervous system, especially the sympathetic fight-flight response, which makes us calm and less sensitive to stress. So sleep deprivation has the opposite effect. This stress also impacts on the gut bacteria, which in turn affects digestion and absorption of nutrients. Sleep is a metabolically active state for the brain and body as it undergoes repair and restoration, using up calories whilst we rest. So while we may believe that being up and about uses up more calories, the small amount of energy one thinks one has spent by not being asleep is usually completely overwhelmed by the extra calories consumed because you are awake. Finally, if that were not enough, Sleep deprivation also has an impact on the effectiveness of a diet, which is completely unrelated to calorie consumption. So, you may well be wondering, why does this happen? Why does sleep deprivation so effectively sabotage our weight loss and weight management efforts? Apart from the fact that when we're sleeping we cannot physically eat, sleep plays an important part in regulating appetite hormones, cortisol levels, and brain biochemistry. Over the next few slides, I shall explain the impacts of these relationships in a little bit more detail. There are two main appetite controlling hormones, leptin, which makes you feel full, and ghrelin, which stimulates a strong sense of hunger. These are finely balanced and play an important role in controlling our drive to eat. An imbalance is caused by inadequate sleep, with ghrelin increasing and leptin being reduced. This hormonal imbalance results in an increase in eating due to more ghrelin, with a delayed sense of feeling full due to less leptin, and this can happen after just 2 days of not getting enough sleep. When you're sleep deprived, your food choices will also suffer, and thus you will tend to snack more. This is thought to be due to sleep loss increasing the circulating levels of endocannabinoids. This brain chemical has a similar effect to marijuana and results in the munchies, a desire to snack on junk food. This craving for junk food, typically high glycemic index food such as pizza, cake, or ice cream, is also caused by a change in brain functioning. Sleep deprivation causes a breakdown in impulse control, so the higher centers of the brain that usually keep excessive food desires in check do not function well, and individuals behave more like reward-seeking children in opting for unhealthy foods. I mentioned earlier that sleep has an impact on the gut microbiome, which is the term for the bacteria in the gut. When the fight-flight response is triggered by lack of sleep, this leads to excess cortisol production because the body is stressed. This encourages the bad bacteria in the gut to proliferate, and these bad bacteria in turn impact on digestion and absorption of nutrients, and thus results in gastrointestinal disturbances. Sleep deprivation has an important effect on dieting success. When dieting, the components of the actual weight loss are impacted by sleep deprivation. When sleep is inadequate, the weight loss tends to be more muscle and lean tissue, whereas when sleep is sufficient, more weight loss is due to actual fat loss. The body conserves its fat when under stress, and this is borne out by two interesting studies. Two groups were on the same calorie-controlled diet for 2 weeks. One group getting 8.5 hours sleep, and the other 5.5 hours sleep. Both groups lost the same amount of weight in total, but weight loss during 8.5 hours sleep was 50% fat, and for the 5.5 hours sleep people, the weight loss was only 25% fat. So following the same diet, but getting more sleep means they lost twice as much fat. A similar study came up with the same effect when done as a social jet lag experiment. Social jet lag is a term coined to describe the effect of erratic sleep patterns, and this could involve shift work or a typical variation over the working week for some. Again, two groups of people. The first group had less sleep during the week but were allowed to sleep in at weekends to catch up, whereas the second group stuck to a more disciplined routine every day. There was a significant difference in body composition between the two groups, with the people who achieved consistent sleep losing more fat. A 1-hour difference between the week and the weekend was enough to cause this effect, so a regular pattern of sleep is more important than the actual total weekly amount. So we can see there are important consequences for our weight if we don't get enough sleep. Sleep deprivation increases hunger and appetite, compromises impulse control within the brain, increases food consumption, especially of junk food, decreases feelings of food satisfaction after eating, and prevents effective weight loss when dieting. Thank you.